First of all, I've got to get this out of the way. We all know what it is. In the event that a fire alarm sounds, remain seated in the auditorium until directed by a Springmore staff member on when and how to exit. Please exit in an orderly fashion. Do not use the elevators, and once outside, you go to... You got it. Thank you very much for being here. I would like to call this meeting to order, and I would like to welcome any new residents that haven't been here before. If you'll raise your hand if this is your first meeting. John Rogers will bring you a mic, and you stand up and tell us your name.
I would have dressed up.
What your room number or house number or villa number is, and from where you come.
2422.
Wait a minute, is that on? It's not on. Okay, it's still not on. We need to know your name. Hold on, let him get that fixed for you.
Becky Chandler.
Oh, still not right.
Becky Chandler.
Okay.
In the valley.
Hello? Do you hear that? Okay, yes. Stand up. Here, stand up.
Marty and Steve Eastman were at 4577 a few days ago.
Well, that's great. You're just getting here. Welcome.
Thank
We're
you.
glad to have you. It's a great place to be.
Yes, we already know that. Thank you.
Yes, good. Are there any others? Your first time here? There's one right back there. I know that lady. Diana.
Hey, Barbara.
Hey.
Diana Hunt. I moved in December 18th in the East Apartments, apartment 228, I think. So
That's
I'm glad
correct.
to be here. I
That's
love it.
correct. It's nice to have you here, Diana. And you all know that all the residents are members of the Residents Association, and we're glad to have you here today. Uh-oh, I'm sorry.
Lucy Kinsvater, 140. We moved in January 27th. We're glad to be here.
Very nice to have you here. And who are you? I know Fritz, so.
I'm the other half.
Fritz.
Yes.
We moved here from Raleigh, from Briar Creek.
He moved here from Briar Creek, which is right out the road. And we're glad to have you here. He's a very good bridge player, so.
Hank Hirschman,
And Emily.
and we moved in January the 23rd, Villa 29, right? Yeah, Villa 29.
Welcome. We're so glad that you are here. And look forward to seeing all of you. And thank you again for being here. And I'm going to turn this meeting over now to our Vice President, Dave Gospodarik, to introduce our program for today.
Thank you, Barbara. As you all know, today is our chance to listen to management answer our questions. Our first speaker is Brad Dilday. He's the Executive Director of Springmore, And I don't know how many of you know this, but I found out today he used to be a dishwasher here when he was 14. He's a graduate of Sanderson High School and also Clemson, fierce supporter of Clemson. And Brad and his wife Hannah have 3 daughters, and of course they live near Springmore. Please welcome Brad Dilday.
Thank you, Dave, for the glowing remarks. I appreciate that. You made me sound good, man. This is our first of 2 business meetings that we hold annually. This will serve as the first one for 2026. So I do want to recognize, obviously, I have Jessica Pagan, our Assistant Executive Director, is here, and she will answer some questions later today. We also have representatives from our management company. Brandon Hare, David Ammons are here. And I believe maybe a couple of board members in attendance. I know at least one said she was going to be here, but I don't see her right now. Is Miss Freeman here? Hey, they're right in front of me. Golly, how did I miss you? I'm so sorry. Right in front and center, yeah. You picked a good seat. So Miss Freeman is here and Miss Walton, so Susan. All right, and with that, I will get started. If y'all mind, I'm going to take this and walk around a little bit today. You can see kind of the start of the presentation. We're going to do a year in review, kind of kick things off with that, talk about some highlights from 2025, kind of acknowledge that, and then I'll get into the questions a little bit later. I don't know if Mike and Judy are here, but I'll pay you your NIL money later for, yeah, okay. All right, so I appreciate it. Great picture, so kick that off. But the first thing I wanted to kind of point out just to get this started is the Springmore mission statement. This is something that is reviewed annually by the board of directors every year, something that we take great pride in. I think Brandon helped kind of reconstruct this several years ago. I won't take the time to read all of that, but this year I kind of foster an honest and supportive environment that promotes dignity, peace of mind, confidence, and active living. That was kind of one of the highlights and targets that I wanted to focus on moving forward into 2026. I've heard for a long time, windshield mentality, right? Where there's a reason the front of your car, the windshield is this big and the rear view is only this big, right? You can learn a lot from things that happen behind you and what happened in the past, but we want to keep a windshield mentality, keep moving forward, keep our focus on what's in front of us and the obstacles that we can see and those that we may not see that are in the curves hidden from us. So that's kind of my mindset going into 2026, but we will go through 2025 and talk about some of the highlights and point out some great people and some great things that happened around here. So we'll start with the administration and that department. You all are probably very familiar with the accounting department. They processed over 6,800 monthly billing statements. You might have seen one. So we appreciate that. But just equally as important, 6,200 invoices that were paid. That equates to 516 invoices a month. So they got a lot of bills coming across their desk. There's a lot of things, moving parts, things going on. So kudos to that group and the job that they did, getting all that processed, getting people paid. We have a great reputation for paying our vendors on time, and they appreciate that. Sarah put this slideshow together for me, so you'll note that she says she officially mastered the art of calendar Tetris, which is what she calls when you call or other people call and want a meeting with myself or Jessica, and she's able to find some time to fit you in. It's some busy days occasionally, and she does a good job of making sure that we are able to see the people in a timely manner, and I hope you feel that same way. Just a funny note that 2,000 paper clips ordered and used. That's a good... I don't know where they all go. Those things disappear quickly, don't they? So, and then I just wanted to point out, hopefully you've seen by now, I know I wrote about it in the latest resident memo, but our Employees of the Year for Independent Living, Maya Brower was the winner, and for the Stewart Health Center, Mitra. She's a nurse in Clayton Wing, and I couldn't have handpicked 2 better representatives for Springmore and the values that we want our employees to have and kind of the support and the caring nature that the 2 of those individuals have. So kudos to them. They did an awesome job. Moving on to the maintenance department, another year of over 10,000 work orders completed. Quite a large accomplishment for them. I mean, they get a lot every day, and they try to keep up and prioritize, and it's a very demanding job that they do, but they do a wonderful job of trying to keep up and get to things in order of importance. When you got over 10,000 coming in, that's a lot of organization and making sure that things get seen in a timely manner. As you're aware, Randy Horton, after just over 25 years, retired from Springmore in the end of September, 1st of August, and we were able to get Ron Plesac hired for us in September. He started. I think he's been a great addition to the team, super proactive, really addressing issues, and seems to be a good communicator, and I think he's gone over really well with everyone, so hopefully you've seen some good improvements with Ron there. That team continues to support with our health center renovations. Obviously, that is primarily done by outside contractors, but in the next 2 weeks, we'll be moving about 35 residents, and our maintenance team is who goes and does those moves. So they still are very involved with the health center renovation and some of the moving parts in there. I'm scared to say that elevator 4 replacement. It's working. It's working well right now. So we hope that it stays that way. Yeah. And then we did contract a new pest control vendor, and I think that seems to be going really well. I know that this is a huge place. It's going to be little issues, but that the new vendor seems to be doing really well. In particular, the dining and the kitchen space, they've seen a vast improvement there. So I'm happy that that's going well. Moving into IT, so strengthening our network. This year we did a lot of upgrading of our internal network, internal cabling, switches, a lot of technology that goes beyond my scope of knowledge. But we are finally tomorrow, for the third time, they're going to come and try to upgrade us to our 5 gigabit per second line fiber feed coming in. So that should be done tomorrow, which means that we should stay on schedule for the following week to be able to open up the resident Wi-Fi. Again, all the pieces are in place. It's just waiting on this outside vendor to complete their task. Supporting resident services, there were a lot of upgrades to the portal, including the housekeeping module and a bunch of other kind of small updates that hopefully have made that a little bit easier to use. And then some behind the scenes security and efficiency things that Daniel implemented. And again, I go to a lot of liability insurance meetings with a company that we're in a captive with several other communities, and they continue to praise Daniel and his work on the IT field and how secure our network is and all of the firewalls and all, they get into all that stuff. But they said Springmore's IT department is head and shoulders above what they see at most places. So that's always great to hear and encouraging, and it saves us on the cyber insurance renewal premium. So he does a great job of helping us out with that. Spiritual life and resident outreach. I think you all know Lori, Jim, Sue. This kind of encompasses everything that they do. I think they do a phenomenal job of the outreach programs and the support groups that hopefully people are taking advantage of. Weekly Vespers, weekly services in the Point, weekly services in the health center. So they're a very active group. We have a staff chapel every Wednesday that Jim or Lori leads, and they do a wonderful job with that as well. Sue and all of her outreach go in to do hospital visits and that kind of thing. So I think we've got a really good team there, and they were able to do a lot last year, and we'll continue with those services into the new year. The health center, 37 new CNAs and nurses hired. That sounds like a lot, but when you look at the turnover and some retiring, there's a different reasons that we needed that many, but we're fully staffed, and as our census rose over the course of the year, we have to add staff to accommodate the extra residents. So we went from around 100 people to start the year to around 115, 120 by the end of the year. So as we were growing, the increased staff helped to keep those levels of care the same so that we could still provide, one nurse to every 8 residents, give or take. 118 residents served for rehab and respite. That highlights kind of the short-term people that came and went. So 118 of y'all at some point were in the health center, got better, got back home. We're proud of that accomplishment. That's what you want. We want to help keep you independent as long as possible. So I think they do a really good job of that. 85 residents assisted by Amanda with our long-term care insurance. I've got a lot of compliments about Amanda and the job that she does with people when they have questions on their long-term care policies. And 152 employee training sessions. And it doesn't take much math to know that's almost every other day, right? I mean, that's a lot of training sessions that our staff development coordinator, Luda, she takes the lead on a lot of that. And whether she does the training or another nurse, or we do an outside contractor that comes and does some training, it's a lot of time that we spend making sure people are up to date and aware of best practices and keeping them as safe as we can. We also had Wake Tech students that came back this year. We've tried to continue doing that and allowing them to learn from our staff, and that seems to go really well. We have a good relationship there, so proud of that. And we'll go into Pathways, and you might recognize those folks, the prom king and queen over there. So Miss Smith, what an accomplishment. We did have our first prom this year, and I think that went over really well. People enjoyed that, and we plan on doing that again. You can see 402 outings for independent living residents. That's quite a significant number, and it's a wide variety. I mean, you can see how many different options we had, and we try to continue offering a variety of places and things you can do to keep it interesting and keep you engaged. Fitness programs, the personal training sessions, we went up significantly year over year, and so we were proud of that and hope to see that continue to grow. The fused glass classes, I know those are a hit when they come. Everybody enjoys doing those. And then a lot of community events, some new ones this year we did, coming back around soon to opening day of baseball. I know that was a popular one last year with some hot dogs and hamburgers out there in the breezeway. So we'll try to do that again. And then some new programs that we started in 2025. I know recently we had the Nurses Social over in South Village, and I think that was well attended. And then same thing with Veterans Socials, and trying to just offer some avenues for you all to gather together with similar folks that had same background, same work history and professional life, so that you can engage and have conversations, reminisce, enjoy each other. So I think the Pathways team did a great job of starting some new things and then maintaining things that have always gone well for us over the last year. Security, transportation, and concierge. So Jacob and his team, we added 2 new vehicles this year, the Traverse and the Equinox. Jacob started a peer point recognition program, which I don't know how many of you are familiar with that, but Jacob was an attendee at Leading Age Leadership Academy a couple of years ago, and through that, he kind of took on a role of wanting to help create a better culture inside of his department. And so this peer points is he has a lot of people second, third shift that don't necessarily get seen by residents, or some of the things that they do after hours aren't always as noticeable as the people on first shift that you see walking around and helping you get across the street. So what he's got is called peer points. They walk by. If I see Miss Freeman doing something fantastic today, I'll walk by and give her a little coupon that's a peer point, right? So it's kind of like fake money, monopoly money, whatever you want to call it, right? But it's just a little raffle ticket, more or less. And at the end of the month, you get to put all your peer points into a drawing, and whoever's drawn out gets a gift card. So just a little something, though, they also have to write on that. They turn in a card to Jacob once they give out a peer point that says what they saw that individual doing, so that he's able to recognize them as well. And it's just really good to help build some camaraderie and build some accountability amongst that team. And I think it's gone over really well with them. But that also led to our the spotlight articles that he did last year. The transportation committee wanted to be able to recognize those individuals that don't get seen as much a little bit more prominently. And so we instituted once a month, picking an employee to spotlight and kind of highlighting some of the things that they do, because again, those third shift guards are the one putting 6,800 billing statements in your mailbox. So they're busy and they got a lot to do, and we wanted to help kind of recognize those folks. So I think that went over well last year, gave him an opportunity to kind of brag on his folks and the different things that they do. Other than that, I think, he does a great job of always trying to keep an eye out for kind of around-the-clock well-being. And it's a full-time job that Jacob has, so I'm proud of him, and he's got a lot on his plate 24 hours a day, so he does a great job with that. dining services. I think you all see them every day, right? So that's an important one. But some of the enhancements that were completed last year, we got the South Village serving line done, the Vibrant Minds. We implemented that program where it's kind of on the name tags now. When you go by in the line, you can see what's the better food choice for your mind and your well-being. And it says pending, but as of Friday, officially, she would pass her test. So Raquel, I don't know if you all have seen Raquel. She's a dietitian that works with Joanna, mostly in the health center, but he does participate a lot in independent. And she passed her test to become a registered dietitian on Friday. So she's officially on board, and yeah, she's been great. We did, the winter, summer galas, all the fun stuff that we have. Matt does a great job with his presentation on the food. Also kind of doing a little bit more of the demos, the pop-ups. I don't know how many of you got an Oreo cookie inside of a chocolate chip cookie the other day. Oh my goodness, yeah. I got lucky enough to find half of one of those when they were left over, and that was awesome. Yeah, those were great. So he does a good job of coming up with some creative, kind of different stuff that hopefully can be a little bit more engaging and some different options for folks. And then the educational programs as well with Joanna, her team, they do a great job. I think, once a month they try to do something and kind of keep people engaged on healthy choices and what their options are. Housekeeping. So you'll notice they have their number for how many units were turned over, and marketing's may be a little bit different. But this is kind of, hey, we had to clean this many to get them ready, whether somebody moved in or not, right? So they had 86 units that they turned over and they do a marketing cleaning when someone moves out, and then they do a final cleaning before someone moves in. So they clean a unit twice before anyone reoccupies that. So a lot of work, time spent there. And then again, this was our first year having a housekeeping work hubs, so where you could put in a ticket and they would respond to that, either staff or residents. And so over 1,000 work orders that they completed, not quite the 10,000 that maintenance had, but we're just getting this started and people are getting used to it. But still, it's an easy way, if you do have a housekeeping need, that you can reach out to them and they can see it and quickly assign it to the right person. And then, my goodness, 16,000 pounds of laundry processed. I think the laundry department is one that kind of goes unnoticed, right? They're hidden in the basement down here, and you don't always see those folks, and maybe their carts here and there, you see them pushing, but that is one of those essential services. And when it comes to ice, snow, events like that, laundry has to be here, because there's table linens, there's bed sheets, there's bibs, there's all kind of thing from the health center and independent that has to be washed, because you don't have enough stockpiled to do 3-4 days worth of laundry. So they work 365 days a year. The laundry is here, and they do a great job down there. So kudos to those guys. And Troy is their supervisor. If you see Troy, he's got a lot of personality. He'll talk to you if you engage him, especially about Duke or Carolina. He's got strong feelings. I won't tell you which way, but you can ask him and find out. The home care department, 171 residents serviced last year. So that's a huge number. Equates to almost 35,000 hours worth of service provided. It's a pretty strong number. 135 escorts to doctor's appointments, and then medication reminders was something that we just started last year, and we had over 300 of those visits out in the community. So home care continuing to grow. Now that the Point kind of falls underneath the home care umbrella, they'll be a little bit more involved in independent too, and you'll have some access to them that maybe you didn't have before. So we'll keep growing the home care department. Marketing, I told you their number's not quite the same, but it's close. 700 plus tours provided. You can do that math too, right? That's 2 to 3 tours a day that Beth and her team are doing, which keeps them on their toes, keeps them really busy. We had an official turnover of 42 units, the people that moved in from January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025. And that was a total of 61 new residents. So kind of representative of, we have almost 600 total residents, and about 10% of that turned over this year. So pretty cool to see that. And then some of the big events that they did, Ollie, they participated in 2025 in the spring. We had a couple of lunch and learn events here with waitlist residents that they were able to come. We do a panel up front, answer their questions, talk to them about Springmore, what life is here. Typically have a resident that will kind of give them a testimonial of what their experience is. And it seems to go over really well. And Chef does a good job bringing in some good food. I'll have to ask for the Oreo cookie thing next time. Maybe that'll win us over 65 new residents. I don't know. So last, we'll cover the grounds department. 236 requests that Tom received over the course of the year. As you know, 42 acres, there's a lot of ground to cover here. And he does, between him and the crew at Carolina Outdoors, they do a great job of keeping things looking really pretty and keeping all those branches picked up and all the fun stuff that happens with windstorms and rain and everything else. They do a great job of keeping the place looking beautiful. The wellness, the pool was refinished this year, and then we had a couple of health department inspections and passed all of those with no problems, so that in and of itself is an accomplishment. There was an erosion control project. I don't know how many of you are familiar with where the garden plots are over at South Village, and there's an employee parking lot above there, and that impervious surface, there's a lot of runoff, and it was creating some issues there, so we got some big rocks and kind of Tom got him a nice ditch and put that water where it's supposed to be instead of washing off all your topsoil from your garden plots. We got the new signage installed finally. That took me a little while, but we got there. 108 shrubs and trees planted throughout campus. So 108, remember that. So when one goes away, you see the one that goes away a lot more readily than you see the 108 that we planted, right? So keep that in mind. And then we celebrated our 25th anniversary of the garden plots, and they had a time capsule that they pulled out. I think, Brandon, you were able to go to that, weren't you? I don't remember what they put in the time capsule, but some cool stuff from 25 years ago. Maybe a Beastie Boys CD, I don't know. You put that in there? So they had some cool stuff in there. So that's kind of the 2025 year in review. I think it was a great year. Again, learned a lot. That was my first full year as executive director here, so I feel like I learned a lot. Hopefully you all felt comfortable engaging with me, and we can continue to grow together into 2026. So thank you for that, and then we'll kind of move to your questions. The rest of them might not want to walk around as much as I did. So. All right, so we had questions that were submitted to the Management Advisory Committee, and I think it was a total of 17 questions, but in some of those are two-part questions. So I'll answer a couple, and then I'll stop talking for a minute, and I'll let others speak, and then I'll come back and wrap it up with a few more. So I'll get started with a couple that about parking, and I'll just kind of hit on both of these together. The first question was, what are Springmore's plans for the west parking lot shortage of parking spaces? And then along those same lines, page 95 of the Springmore handbook states there are sufficient parking spaces for all residents and visitors near your residence. While this works most of the time, it is not uncommon for outside contractors, staff, aides, or others to take up marked resident parking spaces during the week. I'd like to suggest that each Springmore unit is provided a single designated parking space close to the entrance or exit for their specific unit. Any extra vehicles, employees, and trucks could park in the upper lot. So you're right. I mean, there's limited parking here. We've got limited grounds, and we don't have any intention of clearing out any land to build any more parking lots. What we have is kind of what we've got, and I do feel like it's adequate when we control. I think the enforcement is the biggest thing, right? And so you all got new stickers for your resident vehicles. Last month, or in January, we gave out stickers to staff members as well. Instead of the placards that hang, they have stickers now on the back of their vehicles. I gave them a month to get them all on their cars. We gave them the month of February to learn, and security was patrolling the lots and giving them a piece of paper with a reminder of the policy, where they are supposed to be parking, the consequences of not parking in those areas. And they did that for about a month. And then this week the 1st of March, we kind of started writing paper tickets trying to give them the opportunity to police themselves. But I have told Jacob that we've kind of gotten past that point of time, and if he's seeing people with stickers or known employee parking where they're not supposed to, that he's free to tow those individuals, and it won't take but a couple, and I think people will very quickly get the point that we're serious about the enforcement, because it's your parking lot, and every orientation that I do, I make an adamant point to every new hire. This is y'all's driveway, right? They don't want somebody parking in their driveway. You shouldn't park in somebody else's driveway. So I make it very important and try to highlight the fact that this parking spaces are for residents. And we could argue about how much handicap, how much not handicap, that kind of thing. I know that's always up for debate, but I do feel like there's adequate parking for residents. We just need to enforce that it is only residents parking in those spaces. And so if I didn't answer your question appropriately, or you feel like there's more that you would like me to go into, I'll be happy to, just reach out to me, and I can provide more detail on that if you'd like. The other questions both kind of relate to power, for lack of a better word. But the first question was, what happens when electrical power is lost at Springmore? What exactly works? What does not work? Lights, elevators, heat, AC, etc. So there's different areas in Springmore, right? So in the health center, skilled nursing, per the state regulations, we have generators. We have 3 generators that will kick on anytime we lose power. So the skilled nursing facility has you see little red outlets if you're ever in there. Everything that's a red outlet is powered by the generator. There's also air in the hallways, not in the individual rooms. It won't power every individual room, but the hallways would have heat or air conditioning. And then those red outlets for anyone that had oxygen or any other needs that we have for things to be plugged in. The lights would work in there, emergency lighting. Not every single light's going to turn on, but it would be adequate to see. And then in independent living, you have an 8-hour battery backup for all of campus, where if we lose power, you would kick on emergency lighting. You would not have heat and air, but if it were to extend for a long time, we have a plan in place with fireplaces. In the winter, it would be fireplaces and some community spaces that we would put portable heaters, fireplaces, kind of barricade those areas off to hold the heat in, and we would be able to keep people warm in North and South Village. There's designated spaces in our emergency response plan for where those areas are. Tom has the plan, Jacob has the plan. We would get things dispersed appropriately, and we would be able to keep you warm in those areas. Knock on wood, in 41 years, we have never had more than a few hour delay. I think outside of Hurricane Fran. David, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's historically, with the 3 feeds that we have coming in, that was intentionally built this way. When we lose power from one substation, we can switch to another substation. So we've always had that, and it's always worked. I count on it still working. So I hope that answers the question, but we do have 8 hours of battery backup, and if it were to proceed longer than that, obviously that'd be a pretty significant event, and we would have some other resources and plans in place to accommodate that. Along those same lines, the question was, this came the night after the Creedmoor building lost power. So could you explain in layman terms the issue that caused that outage? Because not everything went off in each apartment. Is that how the wiring for the apartments was originally set up, and is that the way it would have been done in today's world? I am not an electrician. I do not know how they would do it right now, but I can tell you what happened there. And so we have 3 120-volt feeds coming in from the transformer right outside of entrance 5 at the back of the Creedmoor building. The line coming into, so not Springmoor's property, the line somewhere out there in the city of Raleigh, right, that feeds us is what got broken. So that line could have been anywhere between that transformer and probably Creedmoor Road. I don't know. That's what got broken, but it was only for one of those 3 120-volt feeds. So if your living room was on one circuit and your bedroom was on a different 120-volt circuit, you had lights in your bedroom and power in your outlets, but your kitchen did not. So but then if something requires 240 volts, if it was on the A and the B circuit, you didn't have it, but if it was on A and C, you did have it. So it was very confusing, and I learned a lot about electricity that day. I don't think he's here. John Robinson is an electrical engineer, and he helped educate me because he was down there with us looking at it. And so, yeah, but you do have the emergency lighting in the stairwells. You do have emergency lighting in the hallways and that kind of thing. So you would still have power. You just, in that particular situation, we had to wait. And it took, I think that the disturbing part to a lot of people, it was half on, half off. When Duke Power came out and recognized what the issue was, they had to go to Sawmill Road and cut us off of, I don't know, Ray Road substation, reconfigure some things, and then go back and cut us on to the Leesville Road substation. So everyone lost all power for about an hour while he did that transition, and I think that created a lot of angst and some confusion for people. So hopefully that clarifies that. The second part of that question is, will a future occurrence be recognized more quickly and the fix instituted immediately? I don't have any control over the fix being how quickly Duke Power gets out here. I mean, I can make all the phone calls I want, but that was right after the ice, snow, storm event, so I'm sure they were out doing other things. I wish they could have got there more quickly. I think I learned about the incident at maybe 5:30, and we had power restored by 9:30. So 4 hours when you lose a circuit, it would have taken longer at my house, I feel confident. So I think they did a pretty good job of responding on that. And then just a quick little note at the bottom was, can we get an update on the boilers in South Village? And so just real briefly, I think, tell me if it's not, but I think everything's working like it's supposed to as of the last week. But we spent some time evaluating a tankless option, decided not to go that route. It was a circulating pump that we were able to replace, and then adjusting some temperatures and some other relief valves and things of that nature that, again, the maintenance department did a great job of addressing that. And to my knowledge, that issue has been resolved, I think, with your showers and having a nice hot shower now. So I'm going to step away from the microphone now, and I'll introduce Brandon Hare from RLA. Most of you know him already, but he's going to answer another one of the questions. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see everybody. It's a lot of familiar faces. It's always good to come back and feel like at home. So thanks for having me. And Brad, great job on the year in review. And it's really great to hear all that stuff. I know what a good job the team does here, but just hearing it again and reviewing it, it's just really, really thrilling to hear. So it makes me very happy, and I'm glad I could be a part of this. Kind of hearing all the accomplishments from 2025 really kind of reinforce my answer to the question that I've been posed that I'll answer here. So, and this fits perfect. This talks about the employee Christmas bonuses. And it kind of fits with my role now, more supporting staff than being staff here every day. So I'll read my question and I'll tell you my thoughts, and then we'll kind of go from there. So the question is, will the highest paid salaried management team members consider exempting themselves from receiving payments from the Employee Appreciation Fund collected for the December distribution? A significant number of residents have complained about this. Some have even refused to participate, and others have decided to give a smaller amount because they object to this practice. There's no question that our senior managers do an excellent job and are highly appreciated. Still, there's a feeling that some individuals paid the highest salary should forego this holiday distribution so that the many employees who earn much less could receive more because their need is greater. At least one other CCRC in the area does this, which was noted as the Cardinal. So I can't speak for the highest paid senior staff here, but I can't imagine them not agreeing to do that. I feel confident saying if that is something that was adamant, yes, I feel for sure they would forego that. But remember, that is a resident-led committee. We have no involvement with that. We can't promote it. When we first started it, I was like, oh, we got to promote it, and we got to do this. And Miss Janet Carter, who helped us start it, reminded me that, we have no involvement with it. All we do is keep the money in a savings account for distributions for y'all to give out to the employees in December. So that's our only involvement. So I think that, the committee would need to suggest that, and the committee would need to recommend that to the staff. And I'm sure they would be willing to do that. But what I've always had a hard time with is deciding, drawing the line of the highest paid. So it's really hard to determine. It said highest paid salaried employees. Well, may not be a surprise, but may be a surprise that some of our hourly paid employees make more than our salaried employees. So that's due to tenure, that's due to hours of work throughout the year, overtime. That's mainly going to come from our health center. There's just, there's just people that you'd be surprised some of our top earners are actually people that work on the floor a lot throughout the year. So I think it would need to be considered highest paid employees versus not just salaried and hourly employees. So I think that's something to consider. To put in perspective, I believe each full-time person got $270 for a Christmas bonus, which is great. I was lucky enough to buy. I got a new TV for my kids. It was on sale at Walmart, and that would have been a nice thing. That's something I would have used to try to enhance something in my house that I would use every year. So I know Brad and Jessica and the others are very appreciative of it. But they do not receive any other bonuses. So there's not this corporate bonus that's paid out. They're not incentivized on performance. There's no extra money given to them. So I don't think a lot of people used to think that, they get this big bonus from Springmore, from ASAI, the management company. That's not true. They don't get any kind of bonuses. So what they get from y'all is all they get. So if you just took the top 5 paid people on average of $270 out of 400, if you took that $270 and spread it out amongst the 450 other employees, you're going to average about $3 extra to give an employee. If you took 10, it'd be 6. And let's just say we took all the department managers. I just want to make it real easy. Just say all the department managers are not going to get a bonus. That'd be $9 extra on the other employees' checks. So the money's not the issue. I think $9 go a long way for some people. And then some people think, well, just $9. I personally think that the money's insignificant, but if the bonus was not, I think the bonus provides unity of all the staff and team members. I believe it shows respect. I believe it shows appreciation. And I just believe from hearing all this today and all what the departments do and all the people he named, the department heads, that I feel they should be included. It's just, I've always said that no one person is more important here at Springmore. So, for instance, the power or a boiler going out. Brad may get the call, but as Brad said, he's not an electrician. So he's going to call the maintenance. He's going to call Ron. Well, Ron's not here, so he's going to call the maintenance guy on call. Well, the maintenance guy on call is going to call the security staff because they're here on site to assess everything. And then we got to call in the contractor. And then if the power's out, we've got to call Jacob and get something going. If we got to move somebody to a guest room, housekeeping's got to be involved. And that's just one scenario. There's many, many facets that you could decide. So all that's to say, that's a committee decision, but I believe it should stay the way it is. But I'm sure they would not have any problem giving it up. So anyway, if you have any other further questions, I'll be around afterwards. I'll be happy to help. So thank y'all and good to see everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those that I don't know, currently I'm Jessica Pagan, the Assistant Executive Director. I work alongside Brad, and I mostly oversee all the clinical operations here at Springmore, but I do support some of the other departments as well. I'm excited to see so many of our new residents that are joining us today. I'm looking forward to meeting you all individually. I have 13 questions total from 6 residents that I'll be answering today. Some of the residents shared multiple questions, and I'll just read them and answer them. What are the different levels of medical assistance offered to our resident members? And this might include different living locations. Within our independent living, we all know that we have our area, The Point, which was formerly called supportive living. And within the health center, we have assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing. We also have the clinic that serves to provide medical support to each one of you, whether or not Dr. Patel and Ann are your providers here at Springmore. I recognize that there's a lot of information involved to thoroughly answer this question. So I've worked alongside Pathways, and you'll find in April we're going to have a town hall where I will go more in detail regarding the levels of assistance as well as what support the clinic offers, and allow you the opportunity to answer or to ask individual questions, which I'll answer at that time. So you'll see that in your April Pathways, and I encourage you all to attend, recognizing, again, there's a lot of information. We provide a lot of support in our different levels of care, and I want to be able to answer those for you. The second question is a recommendation that a resident would like to suggest that the Springmore staff directory include people who work in the snack bar, cafeteria, dining room, and housekeeping. We see these people frequently and would appreciate seeing on the staff webpage a list of their names and photographs. If this is too much to ask because of frequent turnover, you could limit to those people who have been at Springmore for at least 1 year. When looking at this further, I recognize that our website is actually managed in partnership with an outside provider. Utilizing our website to do this may not be possible. Expanding that staff directory that's on the website can be quite complex, and it would cause a lot of updates that would be needed. That being said, we're looking at options to add designated team members on the resident portal. It's managed internally and may provide more flexibility for updates. As you can imagine, we do employ about as many staff members as we have residents living here at Springmore. So putting every staff member on the portal may not be a good idea either. So we're looking at it further, and there's more details to come in the future regarding that. The third question is, it would be very helpful to have a map to use as a visual for health center for the new areas. That's feedback that we continuously receive, and many of our team members would also like to have a map of the health center. Just to know that we are working on this. I know many months ago, Brad actually provided an updated map. We're going to have some additional changes later this month, recognizing that we're excited to go into the next phase of renovations, which includes our memory care area. So the routes are going to be changing within the health center, so we wanted to include that on our map. So we anticipate having that completed in early April, and we will have it in the business office as well as the front desk for the health center that'll be available for anybody that would like it. Also with that, I am always available, and I have team members that would support as well. If you would ever like a tour of the health center just to get a little bit more acclimated, over the last 2 weeks, I believe I have completed tours with about 12 independent residents and would be more than willing to do so. Please feel free to reach out if you'd ever like a personal tour of the health center and an opportunity to ask any questions. We feel confident that the more our residents do walk through the health center, they'll become more comfortable, and we want to encourage you to do so. The fourth question, can we have a place to put dead batteries from electronics and flashlights? I actually had to ask what we could do about that, but little did I know that there's actually already designated bins in the North Village and South Village mailrooms that you can use for your flash or for your batteries and dispose of them. If you do have a battery that's larger than what can go into the bin, the maintenance department would be more than willing to help support with disposing of that properly. So we ask that you work with the maintenance team, and they'll take care of that for you. Number 5, could seating in this auditorium, particularly in the center section, be theater seating rather than each row directly behind the other? We may lose a couple of seats, but the visibility would be better. Brad and I met and talked through this, recognizing we want to continue to maximize seating and visibility in the auditorium. We appreciate all of you coming out for any events that we do have, but if we were to have theater seating in here, it would be permanently affixed. This is a multi-purpose room, and if we were to change that structure, then unfortunately we wouldn't be able to use it for other events. So we'll continue to explore options, but unfortunately we wouldn't be able to consider the theater seating. Number 6, is there a reason why we can't have the new pathways for a second day before registering? It's a tight time frame. If one's busy at an outside activity, on a Tuesday prior to the Wednesday, then unfortunately they may not be able to register in time. And when I was speaking with Carrie about this, she said, you know, it's funny you say that, because the week before she received feedback from another resident regarding. So based off that, for the month of April, they have implemented a change in the pathways. So you'll see the pathways will print on Monday, the 16th. Registration will not begin until Thursday, the 19th, instead of Wednesday. So as long as that feedback remains positive, we'll continue allowing the extra day for registering. So thank you for that feedback. Could we have more activities the week after Christmas? For example, some of the restaurant outings could be scheduled, then decorations would still be up. The only expense would be transportation. Another suggestion would see if some of the Springmore residents would be willing to provide entertainment that week. We have a number of talented residents. Perhaps a committee could be formed to plan some activities. Carrie's team said this is something they can discuss in their Pathways and Transportation meeting. They've had resident musicians perform and are happy to put them on the schedule when it's convenient for them. If residents have ideas for an event they would like to host or help with, they're always welcome to reach out to Carrie or to Anna, and they will absolutely coordinate that. So thank you for that feedback. Would it be possible to have some Tai Chi flow classes in the North Village? Carrie said previously they've held Tai Chi in North Village in the past. When attendance for any of the activities or programming is not steady or consistent, they reassess the schedule and make changes as needed. Based on this feedback, they will look at incorporating Tai Chi in North Village again. Number 9, how about name tags for residents? This is something that we've discussed as a team. Because we strive to create a warm home-like environment here at Springmore, requiring residents to wear name tags is not something we feel like is conducive to that atmosphere. But with that being said, if it's your personal preference to wear name tags, we highly encourage you to do so. And we do welcome that, but unfortunately, we don't think it's the best for all residents to be required to do that. Number 11, this is in regards to grounds. Why doesn't Springmore have an active arborist to save our trees from excessive mulch suffocating the trunks? An arborist would prevent mistakes and save plants. Again, something I had to look into a little bit further, but we do work with Carolina Outdoors, as we know, and they do have a certified arborist that is here on site many times a month and is taking a look and evaluating things just to make sure that we are preserving all of our landscaping that we have here with the trees and the plants. And Tom, our grounds director, is actually a licensed landscape architect as well. He has extensive experience in landscape management. Caring for our campus, the entire 42 acres, requires a lot of collaboration, a lot of teamwork, and there are a lot of men that we see outside that's taking care of our grounds. As much as we like to say that Tom is laying eyes on absolutely everything, as well as the arborist that's here on site, unfortunately, there may be some oversight. If you see an area that maybe needs a little bit more attention, or if it needs to be addressed, if the mulch is too close to the trunk of the tree, I encourage you to reach out to Tom, and he absolutely will look into it further. He's very passionate about our grounds, and I assure you that your feedback is extremely important. And of course, I'm available as well and can help coordinate with Tom and the outside vendors if necessary. Number 12, Springmore did a very unsatisfactory job clearing the ice and the snow. Again, this is an opinion of one of our residents here at Springmore, so we take all feedback very seriously. The memo stated the areas between parked cars could not be cleared, although snow plows could not access, men's shovels, and elbow grease could have been used. A path at the houses were promptly cleared from the driveway to the door, but a path from the garage door to the street was not cleared, and common sense would have helped. It's really rare here in North Carolina, especially the Raleigh area, that we do have inclement weather events to the extent that we had this year, with 2 events back to back, and the first one being ice is particularly difficult to clear. We have an outside vendor that's on standby year-round, and in any significant weather event, we always contact them, and they are available and ready to support. Our team, to include management, worked hours shoveling areas and laying salt. Recognizing how vast our campus is, we have many areas that are covered by shade most of the day, and that does prevent ice from melting quickly. It's really impossible for us to clear absolutely every single area. That's why we do encourage you to stay in when there's an inclement weather event and utilize our transportation or the availability to have meals delivered if needed, and really to reduce the risk of you going outside and trying to drive your own vehicle. Because I assure you, if there is inclement weather on the grounds here, there's inclement weather out in the community, and we want you all to be safe. If you have to utilize your vehicle during an inclement weather event, please contact security, and they will have someone to drive you to your vehicle and escort you if it's absolutely necessary. But once again, we're encouraging you to stay inside. We're trying to clear things as quickly as possible. We use every inclement weather or any event here at Springmore as an opportunity, and we're continuously going back and reevaluating how we can do better. But again, unfortunately, we can't get every area, but we do strive to do so. And lastly, going back to pathways, a resident would like to request water classes be held later than 8:15. Yes, I'm glad that many of you utilize our pool and that you're satisfied with our pool. I know that there are a lot of times that the pool is available for use of the residents, and they have attempted to try later classes in the past, but again, based off of a variety of reasons, the residents were not attending the classes, so they reevaluated their resources and provided other events that the residents would prefer. But based on this, they're going to take a look at it again and see if later classes in the morning may be something that the residents would like to enjoy. If I did not answer all of these questions adequately, or if you have any other questions, as always, please feel free to reach out, and I'll be willing to support. And I will turn it over to David Ammons.
Hello, good afternoon. I will start by introducing myself also. I think I know lots of people here, and then I'm kind of surprised sometimes when I find that I don't. So good to see you all. My name is David Ammons. In June, I will be celebrating my 41st year here. So it's not a new concept. We've been taking care of a lot of things for a lot of times. Speaking of that, the first thing I want to bring up is I'm kind of kidding here, so don't take it personal. I'm just telling the truth. When we have power issues, Brad this year makes those phone calls, but I've made those phone calls for many years to Duke. Please come help us. Please come help us. If you know anybody who works at Duke and they say, David also says, you don't understand, everybody's frail and nervous and could be sick. And I mean, we do exaggerate that a good bit to be sure that they get here sooner. I try not to say life safety or life and death, but please know, because I'm always surprised when I least expect it, I find out that somebody's nephew or niece or son-in-law works at anywhere I'm talking to, so you never know. On a more serious note, I want to say, because they went over it pretty quick, but the senior staff, all the staff response during the snow was phenomenal. I don't know if you know, it was great. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers, and so somebody may have already written this or told you. I know you were getting the emails every day or the updates, but over 90, 95 plus people spent the night to be ready to help any way they could. I've always gotten a kick out of watching anybody from any department is suddenly pushing laundry or serving meals or whatever the case may be. Having been here as long as I have, I did deal with the 28-inch snow that we had years ago and the tornado and just all the stuff that we've done. I must be old because this year I called. They can tell you numerous times, what can I do? Mr. Ammons, we have it. Mr. Ammons, we have it. So I did come. I did help. I did drive a few staff people. It's always fun for me to drive staff people because if I pick them up in the morning and I say I'm David, they go, nice to meet you. In the afternoon, they have figured out, oh, my gosh. I rode with David Ammons. I shouldn't have been complaining about payroll or something. So it is really, seriously, it's a good way to learn a lot. It's like those, what's that TV show where you go undercover, boss undercover or something. It's very true how that can work out. Second thing I want to talk on or speak to just for 1 second, because Brandon did a great job. The Christmas gifts, I know that there's reason to say all across our nation, whether it's wealthy or senior or whatever it might be, do they need that Christmas gift? I won't speak for them, as Brandon said he would not, but about 20 minutes of the snow clearing equipment covers the Christmas bonus for all the top people. So just don't let those numbers skew you. I also personally generally get a phone call that says, hey, David, we're X dollars short of a nice round number. Can the management company help us get there? So let's just not let the tail wag the dog there in that situation. But I do understand the sentiment and the thought. The thing I really feel strongly about, and the reason we don't like having you tip employees here, is a lot of the staff that do a lot of the work you never even see. Down in the laundry, if you've ever been down there and tried to work that big ironer, which I did once or twice, they don't let me come back. That is a hard job, and there's a lot of people like that all behind the scenes. One thing I want to say, too, and then I have a question or two that I was asked to answer. It is very exciting. I mentioned being here a long time, but the energy, the newness we get with Brad and Jessica and even the paper clips and the slides and the whole thing, it's really exciting. It's refreshing to see that. I met with Mr. Evans in about 1988, and I said, I'm serious. Everybody's going to start using personal computers. We got to start using computers. So we've come a long, long, long ways from pre even computer days. The question that I had to do with the board. I work pretty directly with the board of directors, and the question I had was, have too many people, or I don't know, it wasn't that slanted, but have people been on there too long? Do we need more fresh faces or input? To tell you an exact profile, we have one member who's been on the board for over 40 years. That's a long time, but he was heavily involved when Springmore was being constructed. He brings a lot of business experience and expertise to us and is very, very helpful. So I know that argument is why we have senators for 50 years and all of that, so I won't overly defend it, but we only have one person that meets that category. We also have one person that has been here on the board for between 20 years and 40 years. He's an attorney, he's an accountant, he teaches at NC State. He also brings us a lot of expertise 2 of our board members have been here between 12 and 20 years, and 3 have been on the board less than 10. So I don't mean that's real recent. We could all have different opinions on how much turnover there should be. It's actually a topic we're working on already. I will tell you, oddly, I didn't have to look up those stats. I knew that because we've been working on how many board members and how many should we have and things like that. We also have, as you may or may not know, a very strong connection with the board. We have a resident on the board. We have 2 family members whose family, the family members were residents on the board. We have 2 people on our board that are on the waiting list. So it's a very integrated, if you will, with everything that we're doing board. Last topic I want to touch on a second. I usually talk every year about upcoming projects or what we're looking at. Of course, the health center right now is dominant. The health center refurbishing and changes has been going on a few years. That is still going on. It's got another year and a half or 2 years, I think. Jessica always tells me the exact schedule when we're opening the next section, the next phase. So that's going well. Other things, I don't want to rank these. Please don't tell me later that we have the video. I think we do. And we know what you said first, second, third. But we've been looking for a couple years at how other retirement communities, restaurants, et cetera, handle their dining rooms, whether it's a line, whether it's carving stations or other kinds of pizza stations, a lot of things. So we're exploring that and looking at how we could reuse the space. As you may know, we did some refurbishing in South Village. We're very fortunate Sodexo helped us do that through some donation or contribution that they made to that end. That is my whole list. Thank you for having us, or having me today. That's my wrapping up. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, sir. I do have a few more. I'll try to be brief. I know we're at our time, but I do want to make sure we get all of these that were submitted so that everyone has the opportunity to hear their question read and answered. Could there be a meal ticket for the bistro or grill that residents could buy for staff? I realize that could get complicated, but a $10 meal card could include sandwich, salad, et cetera. And that would be a little bit different than holding the funds. Or I know the cost of the full meal is like $25 now. It's a guest meal ticket that you can give to staff. And the answer, long and short, yes. I mentioned this a couple months ago in the food committee, and I apologize. I did not put it at the forefront, so I have kind of put it on the back burner, but I will have that ready for you by May 1st. I'll work with dining and accounting to figure out a good medium dollar value. It may be $8, it may be $8.50. I'm not sure on that number yet, but I think 10 is probably a little too much given the price of things in the grill. But we're going to kind of look at, hey, what's the typical hamburger, French fries, and a drink, and is that $7.50? And then, okay, if they do a pizza, is that another $1? Just kind of looking at some averages and running those numbers. But I will have that available by May 1st. So be on the lookout for that. Let me see what number 9. My next one is, I don't know if this is a widespread issue, but if it is, please let me know. The concern here was that a resident in South Village, and their address is Springmore Circle, and they have figured out that Springmore Circle is not recognized by entities such as the DMV and the post office. They changed Circle to Court. And that even happened when we changed checks from our bank account, and same thing with like Amazon deliveries and that kind of thing. I am not aware of that being a widespread issue. I thought that Circle was recognized. If it is not, please, it does not, nothing will come to Circle. They change it to Court, everything, because Springmore Court's a different. Okay, so yeah, I have no control over what the DMV recognizes, obviously, or the post office, but we will try to sort that out, because I was not aware that that was an issue. So I've already spoken with Jacob, and he has some contacts at the post office, and we'll make sure we get that sorted out for you so that you get your mail and you can get your your checks, whatever it may be. So we'll get that figured out. The second part of that question was when a repair or replacement of equipment is done by the Springmore Maintenance Department or an outside contractor, is there a system in place for logging detailed description of what was done, when it was done, and who did it? The answer is yes, there is. By several entities, the maintenance keeps kind of their own records for PMs and service schedules, that kind of thing. Accounting keeps records as far as when we bought it, how old it is, depreciation, all that fun stuff. So yes, that is all tracked. And I think, now I can't say we have everything back to 1985 at the tip of our hands, but since we've had those personal computers that David mentioned, we have been able to track that kind of stuff and keep those logs. I have two more, and I will try to go through these quickly. What is your plan for addressing and repairing things that have worn out or will wear out due to age and usage? Example being windows that won't open, which is an existing problem, and sliding glass patio doors with handles that have fallen off and cannot be fixed. Those issues sound very fixable, and I would ask you to put in a maintenance work order, and if it does not get completed, please let me know. We can replace windows, we can replace sliding doors. Please let me know if that is not being done when you request it. Other issues, larger issues, I know there's things that, it's an aging facility, and there's things we need to replace infrastructure-wise. I hope you know that I'm aware of that. I try to be transparent with those things and let you all know what we're working on, but we do have to prioritize things, and we've got a running list, I assure you, and so I'm working through it, but we got to prioritize, and we got to make things happen in an efficient manner. So this one kind of goes in line with that. This is my last one that I saved for last intentionally. I heard another senior living facility referred to Springmore as, quote, falling apart. I've seen gutters down and leaking water backing up into apartments and patios, mice in apartments and dining rooms, elevators down for months, etc. We seem to have a repair orientation versus maintenance. Plus, a lot of waste occurs with remodeling with wrong paint colors, wrong cabinets, some repairs never getting done. We pay for these mistakes. Completely true, and I appreciate that this individual probably never made a mistake in their professional career. But good, I do think that I say that in jest because that obviously, we try hard. We want to do things the right way. We never intentionally want to do something twice. That wouldn't make sense. I don't want to do that. I try to be a good steward of the resources that you all provide for Springmore. That's my job. That's my priority. And I take that to heart, and I really mean that. I can't wave a magic wand and make everything fixed at once. There's things we need to get ahead of, and that's why this year's my windshield mentality, right? We got to learn from what's behind us, but I want to keep moving forward, and all I can do is continue to create a strategic plan for us moving forward, and I'll do my best to prioritize the things that are important to you, keeping your safety and your well-being at the front of my mind. And so those are the things that are going to get prioritized. And if you ever have questions, concerns, issues, please come to me. I'm available. I want to talk to you. I want you to express your feelings. I'm here for you. So don't be hesitant. Don't, send a note card like that without a name on it. I want to talk to you. I want to hear from you. I want to be able to engage and have those conversations because you live here, you do pay to live here, and you deserve to be, to have things that you're paying for and meet your expectations. So the second part of that is who do we call if we have a lot of boxes or big boxes that are difficult to tear down, maintenance or housekeeping? Put a work order in either place. Whoever is first available is going to respond to that. We're happy to help you break down boxes. Leave them outside your door when you put the work order in, and someone from maintenance or housekeeping will get by, and they will help you break down that large box so that it can be recycled. There was another little part in here that was about parking, but hopefully I addressed that with the enforcement topic earlier. So with that, that is all that I have from the questions. Again, I'll be available afterwards. I'm here 5 days a week. Please come and call me, find me. I'd love to have any conversation that you'd like to if I didn't answer anything in a manner that you felt was appropriate. So thank you.
I don't know about you, but this rundown place is excellent. Is excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank them all for what they do. And now we're going to have some door prizes. And I do want to say this. The lady that's downstairs, First Citizens Bank, Vidier Ayer is her name. Please tell her thank you if you get one of her. She gets these for us all the time. She's wonderful. Here we go. You want to throw one? Here. One of the red ones. 026179. 026. Uh-oh, here we go, right back there. Where is John? There he is. Here you go, huh? Isn't that beautiful? A blue one. 1479736. Oh, right here. Here you go. Thank you all so much for coming today. This meeting is adjourned.